The morning sun cast long shadows across the barren landscape of Kepler 442c. Dr. Kang Minho wiped sweat from his forehead as he studied the strange metal formations, jutting from the crystallized ground. 3 months of digging had revealed nothing but more questions. Another dead end, muttered Commander Vextar, his crystalline skin reflecting the harsh sunlight. The Altarian expedition leader towered over the human archaeologist, his 6 arms moving in patterns that showed his frustration. "Your species wastes too much time on meaningless details," Minho bit back his reply. The other alien species saw humans as newcomers to space travel. Only 50 years in the galactic community meant humans got little respect. Most aliens thought they were primitive and barely capable of basic technology. "The metal composition is unusual," Minho said, running his scanner over the dark surface. "It doesn't match anything in our databases." War Master Thurok, a massive bear-like brutarian, laughed with a sound like grinding stones. "Everything is unusual to humans. You have not seen enough of the galaxy yet." Dr. Yunhana looked up from her own work nearby. The human linguist had been studying symbols carved into the metal, her dark eyes focused with intensity. "These patterns aren't random," she called out. "They look like star charts." Ambassador Quelix floated closer on his hover platform. The gas-filled Zephyrian's tentacles waved gently as he examined Hana's findings. "Interesting theory, but star positions change over time. Without knowing when these were made, they tell us nothing." "Actually," Hana said quietly, "I think I do know when they were made." The team gathered around as she pointed to specific markings. "This constellation here, and this binary star system. If my calculations are right, this shows how the local stars looked exactly 2,147 years ago." Minho felt his blood turn cold, but he kept his expression neutral. "That's very specific dating." "It gets stranger," added engineer Pak Do-hyun, joining the group with his portable scanning equipment. The young human's face was pale with excitement. "Deep scans show this isn't just metal sticking out of the ground. There's a massive structure buried underneath. I'm talking about something 15 kilometers long." Commander Vextar's crystal formations shifted color, showing his interest. "How deep?" 2 kilometers down. Perfectly preserved." Do-hyun's hand shook as he adjusted his scanner. "And it's giving off energy readings. Whatever this thing is, it's still active." The revelation changed everything. What they had thought was simple ruins suddenly became something far more important. The team called for heavy excavation equipment from their ships in orbit. Over the next week, massive diggers carved through layers of rock and crystal. The deeper they went, the more obvious it became that they had found something extraordinary. The structure wasn't a building or monument. Its shape was too sleek, too purposeful. "It's a ship," Thurok declared as they reached the outer hull. "But what kind of species builds ships this large?" The metal surface they exposed was smooth and unmarked by time. Strange symbols ran along its length in neat rows. Hana spent hours photographing and translating, but the writing seemed to shift between different languages. "Some of this looks almost familiar," she told Minho privately. "Parts of it remind me of old Earth writing, but that's impossible." Minho's stomach tightened. "Why impossible?" "Because this predates human civilization by thousands of years. We barely had writing when this was built." The excavation team found what looked like an entrance. Commander Vextar ordered everyone to prepare for first contact protocols, even though the ship appeared abandoned. "We must assume this vessel belongs to a highly advanced species," Vextar announced. "Perhaps one that achieved transcendence long ago. We will treat their technology with appropriate respect." Minho watched as the team prepared to enter the ancient ship. His hands clenched into fists at his sides. He wanted to warn them, to tell them to stop, but his oath prevented him from speaking. The entrance responded to their approach. Lights flickered to life along the hull and a doorway opened with a soft hiss of equalizing pressure. The team stared in amazement as corridors stretched away into darkness. "Remarkable," breathed Quelix. "The ship's systems are still functional after all this time." They entered slowly, their helmet lights revealing walls covered in more of the strange writing. The corridors were wide enough for several people to walk side by side. Everything was built to human proportions, but none of the aliens noticed. "The architecture suggests a bipedal species," observed Thurok. "Roughly our size, but different body structure." As they moved deeper into the ship, more systems activated around them. Lights came on automatically. Air circulation fans began to hum. Display screens flickered with symbols and numbers. It's responding to our presence, Doyun said with wonder. The ship's computer must be scanning us. Hana stopped at one of the display screens, her face growing pale. Minho, come look at this. He joined her reluctantly, knowing what she had found. The screen showed text in perfect Korean, followed by English and Mandarin Chinese. TSF Indomitable, she read aloud. Terran Strategic Forces. Earth Standard Year 2431. The silence that followed was heavy with confusion. That's impossible, Vextar said finally. Humans have only been in space for 200 years. Your technology is far too primitive for something like this. There must be some mistake, added Quelix. Perhaps the translation systems are malfunctioning. But Minho knew there was no mistake. He had hoped this day would never come, but now the Indomitable had been found. The ship his people had hidden for centuries was awakening, and with it secrets that could change everything. We should return to the surface, he said urgently. Report our findings to the proper authorities. Nonsense, Vextar replied. We must explore further. This discovery could reshape our understanding of galactic history. As they continued deeper into the ship, Minho felt the weight of his knowledge pressing down on him. The other species had no idea what they had awakened. They thought they were exploring the ruins of some ancient, transcended civilization. They had no idea they were standing inside humanity's most deadly warship. The central corridor of the massive ship stretched ahead like a metal canyon. Commander Vextar led the team deeper into what was clearly no ordinary vessel. The walls were lined with weapon ports and defensive systems that made even War Master Thurok pause with concern. These are military systems, Thurok growled, running one massive paw over a sealed weapons panel. This is not a transport or exploration vessel. This is a warship. Dr. Yunhana continued studying the writing that appeared on every surface. Korean, English, Chinese, and other human languages covered the walls in neat, organized displays. She documented everything with growing confusion and fear. The dating systems all show the same thing. She told Dr. Kang Minho quietly. This ship was built in Earth Standard Year 2431, but that was over 400 years ago. Computer systems can malfunction, Minho replied. Though his voice lacked conviction, Engineer Pak Do-hyun ran his scanners over the ship's systems. His readings becoming more incredible by the hour. The power source is something I've never seen before. Quantum fusion matrices that could power an entire planet. And the manufacturing bays we passed could build starships. Ambassador Quelix floated alongside them, his gas-filled form rippling with concern. The technology here surpasses anything in current galactic databases. Whoever built this achieved mastery over physics that we're only beginning to understand. They reached a massive chamber that took their breath away. The ceiling soared hundreds of meters above their heads, filled with crystalline computer cores that pulsed with increasing energy. At the center stood a command platform surrounded by control stations. This is the ship's brain, Do-hyun whispered, a quantum computer system with processing power beyond anything I've ever imagined. Vextar moved to one of the control panels. His crystalline fingers traced over symbols that were clearly meant for different hands. The interface suggests the builders had 5-digit extremities. Similar to humans, but that proves nothing. Hana found a data terminal and began accessing the ship's records. What she discovered made her hands shake. Personnel files, mission reports, and historical logs, all written in human languages and dated from humanity's supposed pre-spaceflight era. Minho, you need to see this, she called, her voice tight with worry. He joined her reluctantly, knowing what she had found but hoping he was wrong. The screen displayed the ship's crew roster. 50,000 names, all human, all marked as quantum storage preserved. TSF Indomitable Dreadnought class, Hana read from the files. Commissioned Earth Standard Year 2430. Final mission, Deep Space Patrol. Sector 7 status, missing in action, presumed destroyed. The alien team members gathered around the display, their expressions showing confusion and disbelief. This cannot be accurate, Vextar stated firmly. Humans achieved faster-than-light travel only 2 centuries ago. Your species has never demonstrated technology approaching this level. The data must be corrupted, added Quelix. Some translation error or system malfunction. But War Master Thurok studied the weapon systems with professional interest. These designs are efficient, deadly. Whoever built them understood warfare better than most species I know. Minho felt the weight of centuries-old secrets pressing down on him. He looked at his human colleagues, seeing the same recognition dawning in their eyes. They all knew what this ship really was, even if they couldn't believe it. "We should return to our base camp," Minho suggested urgently. "Report our findings and let the proper authorities investigate." "No," Vextar replied firmly. "We are the proper authorities. This discovery is too important to delay." As if responding to their conversation, the ship's systems began activating more completely. Lights brightened throughout the chamber. Display screens flickered to life, showing star charts and navigation data. The quantum computer cores pulsed with increasing energy. "Something's happening," Dohyun warned, his scanners detecting massive power fluctuations. "The ship's main computer is coming online." A sound echoed through the chamber that made everyone freeze. It was a voice, clear and unmistakably human, speaking in perfect English through the ship's communication system. "Bioscanners detect authorized personnel. Initiating command staff revival protocol. Welcome aboard the TSF Indomitable, Dr. Kang." The silence that followed was deafening. Every alien eye turned to Minho, who stood frozen with terror and recognition. "How does it know your name?" Vextar demanded. Before Minho could answer, the voice continued. "This is Captain Lee Jiwoo, commanding officer of the TSF Indomitable, requesting immediate status report from all senior staff." The quantum computer cores began cycling faster, their light growing brighter. Throughout the ship, systems that had slept for centuries started awakening. In the deepest levels, storage banks began warming up, preparing to restore something that had been preserved for longer than any of the aliens could imagine. "Captain Lee died 400 years ago," Hana whispered, staring at the personnel files. "According to these records, she went down with her ship during something called the Silent War." "There was no silent war in human history," Quelix protested. "Such a conflict would be recorded in galactic archives." Thurok's professional instincts kicked in as weapon systems throughout the ship began powering up. "We need to leave now. This vessel is becoming active and we do not know its intentions, but it was too late." The ship's bioscanners had completed their analysis, recognizing genetic markers that had been programmed into its systems centuries before. Security protocols engaged, sealing the entrances they had used to board. "Dr. Kang," the voice of Captain Lee continued, "please report to the command deck for briefing. Quantum storage revival will be complete in 30 minutes. Minho closed his eyes, knowing that the secret he had carried all his life was about to be exposed. He was not just an archaeologist. He was a former officer of the Terran Strategic Forces, bound by oaths that transcended time and death. "What is the Silent War?" Vextar demanded. "What is your connection to this ship?" The alien team looked at Minho with growing suspicion and fear. Around them, the greatest warship ever built by humanity continued its awakening, preparing to reveal truths that would shake the foundations of galactic civilization. Captain Lee's voice echoed through the chamber once more. "All hands, this is your captain. Prepare for full system activation. The Indomitable returns to service." Dr. Kang Minho stood in silence as the alien team stared at him with growing suspicion. The voice of Captain Lee Jiwoo echoed through the ship's corridors, calling her crew back to life after centuries of quantum sleep. "You will explain what is happening," Commander Vextar demanded, his crystalline form shifting to threatening colors. "How does this ancient ship know you?" Minho took a deep breath, knowing his secret was finally exposed. "My name is not just Dr. Kang Minho. I'm also Lieutenant Commander Kang Minho, Terran Strategic Forces. Serial number TSF 7749 Delta." The silence that followed was broken by War Master Thurok's growl of disbelief. "Impossible. Humans have never had military forces advanced enough for ships like this." "The Silent War ended 400 years ago," Minho continued, ignoring their protests. "It was fought between humanity and the early galactic consortium. 12 ships like this one were deployed across the galaxy. The Indomitable was the flagship." Dr. Yoon Hana accessed the ship's historical database, her face growing pale as she read. "According to these records, the war lasted 30 years. Human forces conquered 17 star systems before peace negotiations began." "Lies," Vextar stated firmly. "No such war appears in any galactic records, because part of the peace treaty required both sides to classify all information about the conflict," Minho explained. "Humanity agreed to limit our technology and integrate peacefully into galactic society. In exchange, the consortium would never reveal our true capabilities." Throughout the ship, quantum storage banks continued their revival process. Holographic figures began materializing in corridors and command. stations the preserved consciousness of 50,000 human soldiers who had volunteered for digital immortality rather than risk capture. Engineer Pak Do-hyun ran diagnostics on the awakening systems, his readings becoming more frightening by the minute. The ship's manufacturing bays are coming online. It's not just a warship, it's a mobile factory capable of producing entire fleets. Captain Lee's voice addressed them again, her tone calm and professional despite sleeping for centuries. Lieutenant Commander Kang, please report to the bridge. I require an updated tactical assessment. Minho looked at his human colleagues, seeing recognition and fear in their eyes. They all carried the same genetic markers that identified them as descendants of the Treaty War participants. The ship's computers knew exactly who they were. The crew is awakening, Dr. Yoon Hana observed, watching holographic figures take their positions throughout the ship. 50,000 people who died centuries ago. They didn't die, Minho corrected. They volunteered for consciousness transfer. Every crew member on the 12 dreadnoughts chose digital preservation over the possibility of alien interrogation. Ambassador Quellix's tentacles writhed with agitation. Why would humans agree to such restrictions if you were winning the war? The answer came from Captain Lee herself as she materialized on the command deck, her holographic form indistinguishable from a living person. She was a small woman with sharp eyes and graying hair, wearing a uniform that bore symbols of rank unknown to the current galaxy. Because we were winning, she said simply. The consortium sued for peace when they realized they could not defeat us militarily. The treaty was not our surrender, it was our mercy. The alien team listened in growing horror as Captain Lee explained the true history of human expansion. 400 years ago, humanity had not been the peaceful, exploratory race the galaxy knew today. They had been aggressive conquerors who reverse-engineered alien technology from first contact incidents that went very differently than official records suggested. 12 dreadnoughts were sufficient to control human space and project power wherever needed, Captain Lee continued. Each ship carried 50,000 crew members and manufacturing capability for unlimited expansion. War Master Thurok studied the weapon systems with professional interest and growing concern. These designs are more advanced than anything in current galactic arsenals. How did a primitive species achieve such technology? We learned from every species we encountered, Captain Lee replied without emotion. Your technologies, combined with human engineering principles, produced superior results. Hana accessed more historical files, discovering the true extent of human capabilities. According to these records, human forces never lost a major engagement during the entire war. The peace treaty was signed when consortium losses became unsustainable. The treaty terms were specific, Minho explained to his increasingly nervous colleagues. Humanity would dismantle its war fleets, limit technological development, and integrate peacefully into galactic society. In exchange, the true history of the war would be classified by both sides. Captain Lee's holographic form moved to the tactical display, showing star charts from 4 centuries ago. 12 dreadnoughts took positions throughout the galaxy before the treaty signing. We were ordered to enter quantum sleep and await retrieval. That retrieval never came. Throughout the ship, the awakening crew began resuming their duties. The sounds of a functioning warship filled corridors that had been silent for centuries. Weapon systems powered up. Manufacturing bays began production cycles. The ship's artificial intelligence networks came fully online. What are your intentions now? Vextar demanded, his fear finally overcoming his authority. Captain Lee considered the question carefully. That depends on the current political situation. Lieutenant Commander Kang, what is humanity's status in galactic affairs? Minho explained how humans had become junior members of the Galactic Consortium, respected for their adaptability, but considered technologically primitive compared to older species. Most humans believed their own official history, that they had achieved spaceflight only 2 centuries ago. Interesting, Captain Lee mused. So the treaty worked as intended. Humanity integrated peacefully and the war was forgotten. She paused, studying the alien team members. The question now is what to do with this knowledge. Pak Do-yun's scanners detected massive energy buildups throughout the ship. Captain, I'm reading power levels that could threaten the entire consortium fleet in orbit. Standard defensive posture, Captain Lee confirmed. We are armed and ready, but weapons remain in standby mode unless threatened. The revelation hung heavy in the air. The alien team realized they were standing inside humanity's greatest military secret, a weapon of unimaginable power crewed by warriors who considered the current galactic order a temporary arrangement. Captain Lee addressed them directly. You have discovered something that was meant to remain hidden. The question is whether that discovery threatens galactic peace or ensures it. Ambassador Quelix attempted to activate his emergency communicator, but the device produced only static. Communications are blocked, he announced, his tentacles trembling with concern. Standard jamming protocols, Captain Lee Jiwoo confirmed from the command deck. No transmissions leave this ship without my authorization. War Master Thurok placed his massive paw on his sidearm, then reconsidered as he looked at the weapon systems surrounding them. His ceremonial plasma rifle seemed pathetic compared to the armaments built into every corridor of the human dreadnought. What are human intentions? He demanded. Do you plan to resume your war? Captain Lee convened her senior staff in the ship's war room. Holographic officers materialized around the tactical table, men and women who had been sleeping in quantum storage for 4 centuries. Their uniforms bore rank insignia and unit patches that spoke of battles fought across the galaxy. Status report, Captain Lee ordered her officers. Commander Park Jinsu, the ship's tactical officer, gestured to displays showing the current galactic situation. 12 human dreadnoughts remain hidden throughout consortium space. The Indomitable is the first to be awakened. Our original mission parameters were to maintain readiness for recall to active duty. Current threat assessment? The captain asked. Minimal, replied Intelligence Officer Kim Sora. The consortium fleet in orbit poses no significant threat to this vessel. However, our activation will certainly be detected and reported. Dr. Kang Minho found himself caught between his loyalty to the modern human government and his oath as a Terran Strategic Forces officer. Captain, the political situation has changed. Humanity is now an integrated member of the galactic community. Revealing our true capabilities could destabilize everything. Or it could restore the proper balance of power, suggested Weapons Officer Lee Taeman. 4 centuries of technological restriction have weakened humanity's position. In orbit around the planet, the consortium fleet detected massive energy signatures rising from the excavation site. Admiral Zonkar of the Centauran Defense Fleet watched his displays with growing alarm as sensor readings showed something impossible. A 15-kilometer vessel just rose from the planet's surface, his tactical officer reported. Energy output exceeds our entire fleet combined. Impossible, Admiral Zonkar replied. No ship that large has ever been built. Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the vessel. Captain Lee's image appeared on the consortium fleet's main screen. She wore the uniform of a military force that none of them recognized, and her calm demeanor was more unsettling than any threats could have been. I am Captain Lee Jiwoo of the Terran Strategic Forces vessel Indomitable, she announced. We request safe passage to Earth space for mission completion. Admiral Zonkar studied the human captain with confusion and growing fear. Unknown vessel. You will submit to inspection and surrender any illegal weapon systems. By order of the Galactic Consortium. Request denied, Captain Lee replied politely. We are operating under treaty authority, dating to the Galactic Accords of So, 2461. Our mission parameters do not require consortium approval. No. Such accords exist in our databases, the Admiral protested. Captain Lee's smile was cold. Check your classified historical archives, Admiral. The ones your predecessors hoped would never be needed. To demonstrate her point, Captain Lee ordered a minimal display of the ship's capabilities. The Indomitable's point defense systems activated, targeting several large asteroids in the outer system. Beams of coherent energy reached across millions of kilometers, instantly vaporizing targets that would have required the entire consortium fleet working together to destroy. The display sent shockwaves through both the fleet and galactic command centers. In less than an hour, emergency sessions were called on every consortium world as intelligence services frantically searched their deepest archives. On Earth, the quantum entanglement communicator in Dr. Yoon Hana's equipment suddenly activated. She had managed to establish contact with Terra despite the ship's jamming systems. This is Dr. Yoon Hana calling Earth Central Command. We have a situation requiring immediate presidential attention. President Park Tae-jin received the call in his private office, surrounded by his security council. The revelation that a treaty war dreadnought had awakened sent shockwaves through human leadership. How many people know? The president asked. The archaeological team, the ship's crew, and now the consortium fleet in orbit, Hana reported. The situation is escalating rapidly. The president faced an impossible choice: honor the old treaty and order the Indomitable to stand down, potentially losing humanity's greatest strategic asset, or support Captain Lee and risk war with the entire galactic community. Engineer Pak Do-hyun made a disturbing discovery as he explored the ship's manufacturing bays. Captain, production systems have been active since awakening. The ship has manufactured 50 fighter craft and is producing components for 3 destroyer-class vessels. Standard operational readiness, Captain Lee confirmed. We maintain minimum force protection while assessing the current situation. The crew voted on their next course of action in a process that seemed ancient to the modern humans watching. These soldiers had volunteered for digital immortality to serve a mission that might never end. Many had no family left alive and felt no connection to the current galactic order. We have 3 options, Captain Lee announced to the assembled consciousness of 50,000 crew members. Return to Earth and integrate with modern human forces. Remain hidden and await further orders. Or resume our original expansion mission. Commander Vextar watched the proceedings with growing horror. You speak of resuming conquest as if it were routine maintenance. Is what we were designed for, replied Tactical Officer Park. Jinsu, peace was supposed to be temporary, while humanity consolidated its gains. The vote was close but ultimately pragmatic. The crew chose to return to Earth but under their own terms. They would serve the modern human government, but not surrender their autonomy or capabilities. Captain Lee opened communications with President Park. Mr. President, the TSF Indomitable reports for duty after extended patrol. We require updated mission parameters and political briefing. Captain, the situation has changed dramatically since your time, the President replied carefully. Humanity has prospered under the peace treaty. We've integrated successfully into galactic society and accepted a subordinate position in the process, Captain Lee observed. That ends now. The President made his decision. Captain, you will return to Earth immediately. Your existence must remain classified while we determine how to proceed. Understood, Mr. President. However, the other 11 dreadnoughts have received our awakening signal. They will be contacting you soon. The revelation that 11 more ships like the Indomitable existed sent shockwaves through human leadership. Humanity's secret fleet was stirring to life after 4 centuries of sleep, and with it, the possibility of reclaiming their true place in the galaxy. President Park Tae-jin stood before the emergency session of the Earth Council, knowing that his next words would reshape human civilization. Behind him, holographic displays showed the TSF Indomitable maintaining position just outside Earth's gravity well, its massive bulk dwarfing every human vessel in the system. The vote is unanimous, announced Defense Minister Song Mirae. We support Captain Lee's mission with full government backing, under strict operational security. The decision had not been easy. Revealing humanity's true military history risked everything they had built over 4 centuries. But hiding it meant accepting permanent second-class status in a galaxy where strength determined respect. Captain Lee received her new orders aboard the Indomitable's bridge, surrounded by officers who had awakened to find their civilization transformed. We are to serve as humanity's secret guardian, she announced to her crew. Officially, we are an archaeological discovery, an ancient colony ship that was lost and has now been recovered. The cover story required careful coordination. The awakened crew would be described as descendants of the original colonists, explaining their advanced knowledge and military bearing. The ship's incredible technology would be presented as rediscovered human innovations from their lost colonial period. Dr. Kang Min-ho accepted his new role as the ship's diplomatic officer. His knowledge of both military history and current galactic politics made him invaluable as humanity navigated between their hidden past and public future. The alien team members must make a choice, he told Captain Lee. Maintain our secret or risk destabilizing galactic civilization. Commander Vextar struggled with the decision that would define the rest of his life. The truth about human capabilities was terrifying, but lying to his own government felt wrong. If I reveal this information, it could start a war. If you reveal it, War Master Thurok replied, it might prevent a worse war later. I respect what humans have accomplished. They showed mercy when they could have shown conquest. Ambassador Quelix chose pragmatism over principle. The Galactic Order requires stability. Some truths are too dangerous to share. Dr. Yoon Hana began crafting the historical documents that would support humanity's cover story. Lost human colonies, archaeological evidence for advanced pre-contact civilization, would become the academic foundation for humanity's technological renaissance. The consortium fleet allowed the Indomitable to depart, officially accepting the recovered colony ship explanation. However, intelligence services throughout the galaxy began investigating human history with renewed intensity. As the massive ship entered Earth space, humanity announced a series of revolutionary technological breakthroughs. Advanced defensive systems, improved manufacturing techniques, and new starship designs, all coincidentally matching the Indomitable's capabilities. How fortunate that these discoveries align so perfectly with current galactic standards, observed Centauran Intelligence Chief Korthak in a classified report. One might almost think they were reverse-engineered from existing technology, but without proof, suspicion remained just suspicion. Engineer Pak Do-hyun established the first official human-alien technology exchange program, carefully sharing selected innovations while concealing their true source. We're offering improved fusion reactors and defensive shields, he explained to Earth leadership. Nothing that reveals our full capabilities. The program was hugely successful. Within months, human technology became highly sought after throughout the galaxy. Trade relationships shifted as humanity transformed from junior partner to major technological power. Captain Lee maintained her position as guardian of humanity's secrets, while other dreadnoughts began revealing themselves. The TSF Sovereign emerged from hiding in the Vega system. The TSF Invincible activated near the galactic core. One by one, 12 ships that had slept for centuries returned to operational status. Each activation was carefully coordinated with Earth government. Officially, they were archaeological discoveries, more lost colony ships being recovered by human exploration teams. The coincidence strained credibility, but the alternative explanation was too frightening for most alien governments to accept. War Master Thurok returned to Brutarian space with new respect for human capabilities. He began advocating for improved military cooperation with Earth, sensing the shift in galactic power balance. Humans are not the weak species we believed, he reported to the Brutarian War Council. They have hidden depths that we have only begun to understand. Ambassador Quelix worked tirelessly to maintain galactic stability while dealing with growing awareness that humanity was not what they seemed. His diplomatic reports carefully avoided speculation about human military capabilities. Commander Vextar became an advocate for improved alien-human relations, understanding that cooperation was preferable to conflict with a species that had demonstrated such strategic patience. Dr. Yoon Hana published her revised human history, creating an academic framework that explained humanity's rapid advancement without revealing the truth about the silent war. Her work became required reading and xenoarchaeology programs throughout the galaxy. The transformation was remarkable. Within 2 years of the Indomitable's awakening, humanity had become one of the galaxy's major powers. Human starships incorporated rediscovered technology that made them competitive with any alien vessel. Human colonies expanded with confidence backed by hidden strength, but the greatest revelation was yet to come. Deep in Earth's oceans, ancient installations responded to signals from the awakened dreadnoughts. Structures that had slept beneath kilometers of water began powering up for the first time in centuries. Captain Lee stood on the Indomitable's bridge as her sensors detected massive energy, signatures rising from Earth's Pacific depths. Captain, her tactical officer reported, we're detecting activation signatures from the home defense grid. The 12 dreadnoughts had never been humanity's most advanced weapons. They had been the reconnaissance force, sent to scout and prepare the way for humanity's true military might. The planet-sized installations awakening beneath Earth's oceans made the dreadnoughts look like patrol boats. Should we inform Earth leadership? Asked Commander Park Jinsu. Captain Lee watched the energy readings climb toward levels that would be visible throughout the solar system. No need, she replied calmly. They'll notice soon enough. Humanity had returned to the galactic stage not as the junior member they had pretended to be, but as the apex predator they had always been. The question was no longer whether other species would discover humanity's true nature. The question was what humanity would do with their revealed power. In the depths of space, 11 other dreadnought captains received the same sensor readings. Across the galaxy, humanity's hidden fleet acknowledged the awakening of their homeworld's true defenses. The peace treaty that had lasted 4 centuries was about to be tested in ways its creators never imagined. And in the depths of Earth's oceans, weapon systems that could crack planets stirred to life for the first time since the Silent War ended. Humanity was done hiding.